Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Rentz here, host of the Raiders Report. The Las Vegas Raiders have officially hired offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. So what I needed to do here is do a brand new mock draft, and I ran this mock draft on PFF, so everything that you're going to see is ran through on there, and if you want to make your own mock drafts and send them to me, please don't be shy, at MitchellRentz365. But this is a mock draft not based on what I would do. This is a mock draft based on what I think Tom Telesco, Antonio Pierce would do, knowing that Getsy is their OC and Patrick Graham is their defensive coordinator. Now, are some of the picks my guys? Sure. But there's going to be some things that you see that are definitely more tailored to all these coaches and GMs here. If you want Raiders draft videos the entire offseason, hit that subscribe button. If you want more Raiders mock drafts, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be pumping out a lot of content leading up to the 2024 NFL draft, and probably the most fun day, or one of the most fun weeks, I guess, for here on the Raiders Report is when we go live for every single pick. It's like, 20-something hours. It's unbelievable of Raiders content live for the entire NFL draft, and we will get the picks before you see them on TV. So here's all the Raiders 2024 draft picks, and I'll admit, PFF, the one thing that does grind my gears a little bit about them is they don't have the updated comp picks yet for the Raiders. So as it stands right now, here are the picks for the silver and black. You got to pick in round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 3 picks in round 7. So 9 picks in total for the silver and black. So what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm going to go through this mock draft. That way you can kind of see each pick leading up to the Raiders at number 13. So here we go. Caleb Williams off the board. Drake Maye off the board. Jayden Daniels off the board. And in this situation, to me, the Raiders have a certain plan. Joe Alt, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Nabers, those are your top 6 picks. From 7 to 12, Cooper DeJean, Odunze, Nate Wiggins, Taliese Fuaga, Brock Bowers, and Jer'Zhan Newton are all off the board in the top 12. Now, I'll admit, I do think that there will be at least one trade before the Raiders in the top 13, but in this mock draft, it didn't happen. So let's just say right now, based off of this mock, you're on the clock. You're sitting next to Tom Telesco. You're sitting next to Antonio Pierce. You got Luke Getsy. You got Patrick Graham in front of you. Who are you going with? Who should the Las Vegas Raiders draft at pick number 13? For me, this one would be a pretty simple answer. And based off of what the Raiders currently have and what the Raiders currently need, I'm going to go with best player available. And the best player available on my board that was still available, and the best player available on PFF's board, was Olumuyiwa Fashanu, the offensive tackle from Penn State. Now, to me, he's a left tackle. I am confident enough in the ability of Kolton Miller to potentially play right tackle, and if I need to have a situation where either Olu or Kolton Miller is going to play left tackle or right tackle, I'll tell you this, I'm actually okay with that problem, because this would be arguably the best offensive tackle duo in the National Football League. He's 6'6", 320 pounds. This dude is an absolute monster. He's got elite athletic ability. Made Bruce Feldman's Freaks List, and if you don't know what the Freaks List is, go check it out. It's just guys that are just unbelievably talented. He is a day one starter with the upside to be the best offensive lineman in the National Football League. Like, that's how good of a player he is. He is an elite pass blocker, a very good run blocker. So when you add up all those things, that's why I decided to take Olu here at number 13. But when I do these mock drafts, obviously I give my opinion. So one of the things I want to start trying to do is just show you the opinions of some other people around the NFL, around the draft community, and what they have to say on certain players. So this is from NFL Draft Buzz on Olu, and they said this. Olumuyiwa Fashanu has become a force at Penn State, known for his exceptional athleticism and build, ideal for a left tackle. With a solid background as a 2-year starter, he's demonstrated remarkable skills in both pass protection and run blocking. Fashanu excels in pass protection, showcasing advanced footwork and hand technique beyond his years. His ability to understand snap timing and body positioning sets him apart, along with his skill in handling rushers and keeping the pocket intact. While Fashanu's pass protection abilities are highly polished, his run blocking shows room for growth. His quick and effective in initial engagements, but his technique can falter in sustaining blocks, particularly against quicker rushers. Despite these areas of development, Fashanu's overall skill set, including his physical tools and football IQ, position him as a potential top 10 pick in the 2024 draft. His combination of athletic talent and the potential for future growth makes him a likely candidate for a franchise caliber blind side protector. So I end up going with Olumuyiwa Fashanu here at pick number 13. And again, is offensive tackle a need for the Raiders? Yes, it is. I understand it's more on the right side, but Kolton Miller has once played right tackle before, and I'm confident that he'd have the ability to do it again, which now means the Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock here. Round 2, pick 44. I'll tell you who I ended up going with, but I got to tell you about our sponsor here first. Shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring the Raiders Report and showing love to this mock draft. I wouldn't be able to do today's show if it wasn't for all of our awesome sponsors here, so when I tell you about them, go check them out. I promise you're going to have a lot of fun. If you're like, Mitch, well, how do I get started? You got to go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks is really simple to play. You can make your picks and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So, nation, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. If you're wondering, Mitch, what are your picks for the big game? This is what I'm rolling with. I took this at $20 to win $200. So if you're a Raider fan, you don't want to root for the 49ers, you don't want to root for the Chiefs, go pick out 4 players, 3 players, 5 players, however many players, and just put a few bucks down on each of those guys and then root for their individual achievements. I guarantee you it'll actually make you want to watch the game, because the amount of Raider fans that have told me, oh, I'm not going to watch Super Bowl 58. First off, I don't believe you. Second off, it's the biggest game of the year. Yeah, I get it. It's 2 teams that we hate, but you should still watch the game. It's literally the only thing going on that day. So if you need an excuse to watch it, here's your excuse. You're welcome. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. All right, let's go here to round 2. Wait a minute. I'm going to be making a trade here. The Las Vegas Raiders are trading up to pick number 33 with the Carolina Panthers. And the draft trade that I did was Carolina, you received pick number 44. And the trade that was accepted was a 3rd-round pick in 2025. I'm telling you this right now, this is really, really good value for the silver and black. And the reason why that I ended up doing this was because the Patriots were picking at 34, and he kept falling down the board. There were some other teams that I thought might take a QB, so I said, F it, I'm going to trade up. I'm going to go up and get a quarterback, because to me, that's what the Raiders would want to do if you missed out on those top 3 guys. So my question is, all 3 of these QBs were still on the board. I can trade up and get J.J. McCarthy. I can trade up and get Michael Penix Jr. I can trade up and get Bo Nix. My question is, out of these QBs, who would you try to get? Type JM for JJ, type MP for Michael Penix. If you want Box Nix, then you can go type BN down below. Remember, this is a mock draft based on what I believe Tom Telesco, what Luke Getsy, and what the Las Vegas Raiders would do, not what I would do. So for that reason, the Las Vegas Raiders have traded up, and they are selecting quarterback out of Oregon, Bo Nix. I have been told by multiple sources, Graphic also, I got to give a shout out to him, he was the first one on this, that said Telesco likes Bo Nix. The Raiders are looking for a QB that can be on a 2-year contract, which is why I think that they end up signing a veteran like a Kirk Cousins to a 2-year deal. Then you let Bo Nix learn for 2 years. This shouldn't surprise anybody. Getsy, a part of that Packers tree. It's exactly what they do. You let Bo learn behind a veteran, and then you hand him the keys to the car in about 2 or 3 years. But this is where I, again, want to take this show to a different level. Y'all know how I feel about Bo Nix. I'm not crazy about him. So let me tell you what NFL Draft Buzz has to say about the Oregon quarterback prospect. Bo Nix entered the collegiate ranks with the high sky expectations, securing the SEC Freshman of the Year in 2019, and was heralded as a 5-star recruit. His tape at Auburn showcases his prototypical size and arm cannon, both key assets for the next level. Nix's footwork and mobility allow him to extend plays outside the pocket, and his arm talent, especially off-platform throws, is evident. However, his on-field IQ needs polishing. He occasionally displays sloppy mechanics and lacks pocket awareness, leading to questionable decisions under duress. Furthermore, he locks onto primary reads and struggles with progressions. But with a year of solid tape and growth in his decision-making, there's no doubt Nix can move into the first round discussions with NFL teams seeking a quarterback with raw, moldable talent. So that's what they had to say on Bo Nix. And to me, if this is the route that the Raiders want to go, you're able to get a hell of an offensive tackle in the first round. Sure, you're going to have to trade up and give up a little bit of quarterback assets, but Still, you're going to go out there and you're going to have a Bo Nix who's going to be able to learn, and now I can still keep all of my other picks. I've done a lot of mock drafts on this channel. I'm telling you right now, I love this mock draft, and that's even with drafting Bo Nix. Let's go to round 3, pick number 77 here on the board, and at this point, I went offensive tackle. I got myself a good quarterback here in Nix, and there's just going to be certain players that I feel like I'm just going to end up with a lot of the times in mock drafts because every single person has their guys. One of my guys is Leonard Taylor III, defensive tackle from Miami. And I like this kid's intangibles. I think he's going to be a hell of a player at the next level. And when you want to know, like, what about him, Mitch, makes you like him so much? He's a big dude, 6'3", 305. Also, defensive tackle is the top need for Las Vegas this offseason. Like, this is maybe based on them not spending big in free agency, which that might be a route. And based off of that, like if you're going to go give a quarterback like a Kirk Cousins a big-time deal, $30 million, you might not have the money to allocate that and go get a big-time defensive tackle. So with that, you still need to be able to add a DT in the draft. He's quick-footed with a rare burst for his size. Very good quickness off the snap to split defenders and penetrate the pocket. I'll tell you this right now, he's a raw prospect. Like, there's a lot of growth left there to be had. But overall, when you think about why the Raiders might have to do this, I trust Rob Leonard. I trust Antonio Pierce. I trust Patrick Graham to get the most out of him. And if you trust those three guys, then Leonard Taylor III is an intriguing prospect. His 19.5 pressure rate in 2022 trailed only Pittsburgh Kalijah Cansey's, who went number 19 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 2023 draft. Taylor only mustered 1 sack in 2023, but tallied 21 total pressures and 17 quarterback hurries. Taylor has the ability to be able to get after the quarterback, and with the Raiders and with these coaches, I trust them to get the most out of a prospect. And that is why Leonard Taylor, if he ends up landing on the Raiders, remember, Rob Leonard also has a lot of connections in Miami. I get it was the Dolphins, but he still has a lot of connections in the Miami area. This would be a hell of a pick here for the Raiders. Let's go to round 4, pick 112 for the silver and black. And I went offense, found another defensive tackle, and based off of free agency, again, when I thought about this mock, I thought, all right, if I'm going to take Bo, that also means that the Raiders ended up spending big, probably on a free agent quarterback to let Bo learn behind. So I don't know if you're going to have the opportunity to bring back a guy like Andre James. So I'm going to go with the center that I like a lot, that's got a lot of playing experience. Sedrick Van Pran, 6'4", 310-pounder, 3-year starter at the University of Georgia. His PFF grade, 77.9. And if you want to talk about a dominant college football program, the most dominant college football program over the last 3 years, I think you can make an argument it's either Michigan or it's Georgia. I'll take the team that won 2 national championships compared to the team that just won 1. And he was a 3-year starter there. He's got scheme versatility, which I love. Football IQ, love it. 1 sack, 1 hit allowed in those 3 years, and dude is an absolute mauler in the run game. We're going to talk a lot about Luke Getsy, and yes, I know the concentration a lot of times is on the passing game. Getsy's going to want to run the football, and if the Raiders bring back a guy like Josh Jacobs, who I do think ends up getting brought back now with Getsy, it could be somebody that, again, I'm adding some extra talent here around the Raiders and some of their current needs. Let's go to round 5, pick 146. But you know what? I kind of lied here because I got another trade that ends up going down here, and I jump right in front of the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm going to take another one of my guys. So the trade that I had to do to get up to 130, I get the 4th-round pick, 130. The Las Vegas Raiders, they give up a 5th-round pick at 146. I also had to give up my 6th-round pick in 208 overall. So you give up a 5th and a 6th to go up and get a 4th. So after this pick, I'm not going to have a pick in round 5. I'm not going to have a pick in round 6. But I do have 3 picks in round 7. And this is my guy. I have taken him in every single one of my mock drafts. And I'm going to continue to try to do it because I know Tom Telesco loves Notre Dame players. But Cam Hart, to me, is another Feldman's freak, dude. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. He might test out to be the best corner in the entire, NFL draft. I'm telling you, Cam Hart might be the best overall athlete from length, height, size. I mean, he is an unbelievable player. His technique needs work. I'm telling you right now, his technique needs a lot of work. He's handsy, he's grabby, and that might be a problem at the next level. But his tape shows me that he can play a man, he can play zone, he's not afraid to tackle, and if you get the most out of him, right, like Cam Hart has the opportunity to be better than a player like Nate Hobbs. And that's, I know what I'm saying, it's a lot to Raider fans, but Nate Hobbs was an athletic specimen that got the right opportunity. If you put Cam Hart in the right positioning, which to me, that's Patrick Graham. I know Jason Simmons right now, he might not return. He's being interviewed for another job. But I think when the Raiders have a guy like Ricky Manning, you also have a Gerald Alexander, two very good coaches that the Raiders added with Antonio Pierce, somebody that was able to get a lot out of Jack Jones. If I'm Cam Hart, I would love the opportunity to play for the Silver and Black. So how about this? I've already given you a few my guys. Give me a prospect that is your guy. Because when I do shows like this, I want y'all to leave today's show and be like, oh man, I want to go do a mock draft. Because doing a mock draft is a great way to just kill some time, but it's also a great way to learn a few draft prospects, and then you start reading up on them, you're like, start watching a little tape, you're like, all right, like that's my guy. I want to know one of your guys, and I'm going to try to look down in the comments and see how can I get a few of your guys in a future mock draft of mine. So that means right now we are at Olu, Bo, Leonard, Sedrick, Cam Hart, which now means I got 3 picks in round 7, 8 picks for the Raiders in total, and I've traded pick number 44, and I've traded pick 208. That's the friendly reminder. Before I get into my round 7 picks, friendly reminder that we are going to be live in Las Vegas this Sunday for the big game watch party. I have asked y'all to do a lot on this show, and I know that, but I am asking y'all to pull up and show out at this event. It would help me. It would help Jeremy Chuggs. And if you want to make a reservation, you got to go to chatsports.com/biggame, BIGGAME. Here's when it starts. That's the address right there. And if you want unlimited food, it's got a buffet, unlimited drinks, $99, or you can go the VIP pass. That's if you want to get on the show. I would recommend this one. Is how you do it. It is free to attend. It is kid-friendly. If you allow your kid to watch the Raiders Report, then they should absolutely be allowed to come to this event as well. But I will admit, I am starting to get nervous for the people that are relying on this option because of how many people have already reserved their spots. I don't want that to happen to you, and it's worth every single penny in Las Vegas. So reserve your spot, chatsports.com/biggame, and help me root against the Chiefs and the freaking Niners. Let's go to round 7, and I'm going to go with running back Carson Steele at 6'1", 225 from UCLA. When I'm this late in the draft, I look for upside, and that's just what I'm going to look at. I'm either going to look at special teams players or I'm going to look at upside, or both. I know what Carson Steele is at UCLA, right? This is another player who made Feldman's freak list. He is an athletic specimen, and I don't know if he's ever going to be good enough to be a running back in the NFL. But you know what this guy reminds me of? This guy reminds me of somebody who's going to be an elite gunner on special teams, which it's not a sexy position that many people talk about, but it is a position that deserves recognition. If you want to be a Super Bowl caliber team, you need offense, defense, and special teams. But I'm telling you what, I know, white guy, running back, he is a much better athlete than what he gets credit for. Let's go to round 7, pick 224 here, and I'm going to go with an offensive player, and I'm going to go with the tight end position. I'm going to go with Trey Knox from South Carolina, 6'5", 237, 36 grabs, 312 yards this past season for the Gamecocks. My biggest note that I have on him is he's going to run, I think he runs like a 4.3, 940. I don't know if he's going to be under a 4.4, but somebody at 6'5", 237, his stock is going to rise significantly at the combine because he's going to be in that upper percentile of tight ends that run the 40-yard dash. He doesn't run a great route tree. To be honest, I don't think he's that great of a route runner. He might just be north and south. But if I want to be able to add another tight end that I can go vertical with, when I got 2 tight ends on the field, you let Michael Mayer cook on one side, and then you got to worry about this dude that can run this way. This is why I ended up going with Trey Knox here in round 7. And then to round out my mock draft with Tom Telesco, with Luke Getsy, with Antonio Pierce, I am going to go in round 7, pick 226. I'm going to go with a safety here, and he's from Kansas, Kenny Logan Jr. 95 tackles this past season with the Jayhawks, 1 interception, 6 PBUs. He's a senior. He's one of the leaders here on this team. Team captain, I believe, on top of that. If I can add a safety, if I can add another dude that's got some special teams ability on the best Kansas team of all time, right? I mean, it might be the best Kansas football team of all time. So for this reason, I'm going to go with Kenny Logan Jr. He was just the best player left available on my board. I know the Raiders have solid safety depth. Isaiah Maye, he's a free exclusive rights free agent. They might not bring him back. I anticipate that they will. What happens if the Raiders don't love Chris Smith, somebody that was drafted by the Ziegler regime, by the McDaniels regime? This is just another player to add into the mix for a little bit more depth. So here is my Raiders mock draft, and I want you to go give this one a grade. A, B, C, D, or F. And this is where I want you to be honest. A, it's amazing. B, it's good. C, it's average. D, it's bad. F, well, I'm sure some of us in here have gotten a few Fs. If you want to share this on social media, you can tag me on Instagram and on Twitter at MitchellRens365. So don't be shy and go ahead and do so. Appreciate each and every one of y'all. And remember, if you want to do your own mock drafts, do it on PFF. PFN is also available. Make sure those trades are turned on. And if you want me to grade it, I will check my DMs. I try to do my best that I possibly can. So please don't be shy and send me all those mock drafts.